So what should we do about Stewart? Fire.
And I will give you the tools to help you catch.
Don't you hear me calling you? Oh. Who are you? Who you calling a glitch? What do you want for dinner tonight?
A collection of home film footage of Riri and her closest friend, Natalie Lyric Ross, over the years opens the show, but the main focus is a selfie of the two of them discussing their top priorities. According to Riri, she aspires to surpass Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Tony Stark. After that, we cut to a sequence of Riri's time at MIT, which is narrated by Riri herself. She explains that although she has high hopes for the future, it was during her internship in Wakanda that she came to the realization that she will never be able to fully fulfill her dreams and construct everything she desires to do without a consistent source of income. She notes that although Tony Stark is a genius, he wouldn't have become the person he is now if he hadn't also been a real billionaire. Her major objective at the present is to develop a technology that would transform safety, but attempting to do so while simultaneously creating and maintaining her duplicate of Fury's literature right AI system Griot is proving to be costly, which has led to some unethical means of earning money. As Riri requests an additional year's extension for her grant, we understand that this speech isn't being delivered for our benefit alone, but rather to Dean Choi, Tanya Freeman, and Professor Wilkes, Jim Rush. They don't like the concept, partly because her most recent experiment hurt Wilkes, but also because she hasn't gotten any closer to graduating despite the course of study designed to accommodate her brilliant ways for as long as she's been there. Although Dean Choi does not think Riri's attempt to pass for a degree is wholly unimportant or that getting one would make her small, she does point out that the school has a zero tolerance policy regarding plagiarism and that Riri has assistant students at not only her school but all of the local schools in plagiarizing her work. In light of this, Choi sends Riri to the lab to collect her stuff and expels her effectively right away. Her Iron Man-like armored suit is the only possession that truly piqued her curiosity. However, a student points out that she actually owns it because she created it with her own grant money. But instead of waiting for campus security to figure it out, she leaves and with the aid of MIT's built-in AI student assistant, Trevor, she embarks on her journey to Chicago. In the meantime, a gang consisting of Stewart, also known as Rampage, Eric Andre, Jerry Blood, Zoe Terakis, Slug, Shia Cowley, Ross, Shakira Barrera, Johnny Money Montana, and Clown Sonia Dennis is getting ready for a theft in Chicago. Unfortunately, Stu fails to turn off the alarm and the group ends up escaping from the police. Before speaking with John, their commander, the Hood, also known as Packer Robbins, played by Anthony Ramos, sends the majority of them home. The Hood informs John that they must dismiss Stu and replace him, but time is of the essence since they have 3 more heists scheduled.
Without the resources to bring my ideas to life. And the AI from my method goes beyond more a year. If I could
And still no true material.
you want me to do homework, I have to explain to my professor.
So we tailored a course of study to your.
I
Fortunately, Riri decides to fly by in her suit at that same moment and texts Xavier, played by Matthew Elam, Natalie's brother and friend, asking him to meet her at her mother's house so they may devise a plan of escape. After spreading the word, Trevor shuts down quickly after MIT denies Riri access to the student AI. Fortunately, Riri is only a short distance from home when she loses possession of the suit and smashes onto the street. She goes up to her mother Ronnie's Angie White house after London Harper Anthony, one of the neighborhood kids, offers to help her take her suit home with his card in return for $20. The trauma really still bears after losing both Natalie and her stepfather Gary LaRoyce Hawkins. Without being able to say goodbye to either of them is discussed by her mom and her friends, especially her one friend Madeline Cree Summer, while she listens through the door. The following day, Riri and Xavier go to the junkyard to look through spare components. After he parks the car, Riri goes inside to pay the bill, preparing in her mind to inform Jim, Chain, Giraffe, the owner, that she is unable to pay immediately. John intervenes and pays for her after she begins to tell him that she cannot afford the components she needs, pretending to be friends with her until they are outside. She recognizes that Tony Stark has an advantage due in part to his limitless riches, which she lacks, but she rejects John's attempts to flatter her by claiming she is brighter than him. John provides her an address with the instructions to appear early the next day and ask her to meet the Hood. As directed, Riley uses the service elevator to go to the second level when she gets to the pizzeria. In any case, the elevator rapidly stops and begins to fill up with gas. She has 3 minutes before the elevator's air becomes unbreathable, according to the Hood's voice over the speaker, but she can be saved by the gas mask in the apparatus on the floor. He clarifies that this is her interview to become a member of the crew. Instead of wasting time entering the gadget, Riley enters the elevator itself and moves it sufficiently to allow her to force the door open, where the entire crew welcomes her. Parker greets her and practically gives her a job right away, but the elevator trick shakes her up so much that she immediately declines, even as he identifies her worries about having to remain little and seeing others take the jobs that are rightfully hers. In order to demonstrate that he has more than enough money to cover her demands, he asks her how much it would cost to get her on the
Make sure
crew
she doesn't
before
take anything
offering
that's
to
not
work
hers.
her out. He gives her a large sum of money upfront, but only if she agrees to work for them for the following 3 tasks, which he acknowledges are not legally
Now listen
legal
up.
but
What should
guarantees
we do about Stewart?
are more about extortion
Xavier,
and stealing than
tell him to
causing
meet me
harm to others. Parker says they'll need the suit for the task, so really agrees and goes home to prepare it. He also explains that if she joins them, she'll get a share of the money and the resources to achieve her goals.
Listen to it.
without resources.
That's exactly what I would have done.
Ex-fellow at Rampage on a tech. I'm out.
Afterwards, John and Parker affirm that the task for the following day may proceed, and John gets ready to finish the huge tattoo that the Hood had applied to his back and arm. However, he has black veins running through his body, so that's not the only thing propagating over his skin. As Riley works on rebuilding the suit, she must also rebuild the artificial intelligence system that goes with it. While at work, Riley listens to the CD that Xavier made her. At first, she is charmed by his music and singing, but when she hears Natalie's voice weaved into the tracks, the audio from an old voicemail she left her brother, the tape throws her into a downward spiral. A memory that dates back to the night Natalie and Gary died is brought on by the audio. Riley was doing maintenance on the car with the 2 of them in the garage when an unconnected altercation that started just outside turned into a drive-by shooting. Gary was able to move Riley aside just in time, but he was shot as he attempted to approach Natalie. When she returns home, Ronnie greets her, hears her sobbing, and attempts to discuss it with her daughter. Instead, really lashes out at her mother, accusing her of not caring about Gary's goals and demanding why she never tried to clean up the business after what occurred. Recognizing that her daughter is so overcome with unresolved sadness that she is unable to look past it to acknowledge that Ronnie is also in pain, Ronnie refuses to apologize. It takes many hours to produce through brain mapping, so Riley spends the night sitting there as it works, her mind full of Natalie as she drifts off to sleep. The following morning, she hears her name being called. Natalie.
Can be the greatest inventor of my generation.
Consider this a sign.
If I wasn't real, could I? Wait, what? What you mean I just got? Here it goes. Listen, that could be us.
When Riri, Dominic Dawn, awakens, Lyric Ross's character Natalie is still in her living room. She finds that her suit produces a hologram of her body after concealing the AI in her chamber. They quarrel about Natalie adopting her friends look and demeanor. Riley tells a falsehood to convince her mother to leave when Ronnie knocks on her door. To keep Natalie in the room, she chained her. Xavier asks Riley out that evening as they are leaving the building. In order to prepare for their first task, Riley meets up with Parker and company. They target Sheila Zarate, Zala, the CEO of TNNL, a business that is converting Chicago's freight tunnels into a private roadway at the expense of local communities. He appropriately acquaints her with the team. Clown Sonia Dennis is the pyrotechnic expert. John Money Montana is Packers number 2 and serves as the getaway driver. Slug Shia Coley is the Harker Rose Blood Shakira Barella, and Jerry Blood Zoe Tarakis are the marshal. John introduces them to the job, which involves disrupting Sheila's TNNL presentation.
Spike. You about? But you moving kind of slow.
Technically, I control tunnel. Unless
By downloading a virus to the system to shut it down and allow the team to take control and John conducting negotiations. Stu is no longer there. Riley responds that it's only charging but will be ready to go when they inform her they need her in the suit that evening. When she gets home, Riley makes sure her outfit is prepared for work. Still, it keeps breaking down. Riley utilizes Natalie to locate a possible contact for the components she needs after using all of her resources. She transports her iron suit to a suburban area by using Landon's Harper Anthony red wagon. She runs across Joe, Alden, and Renrich, her contact, who is arguing with a neighbor over her dog urinating in his yard. Joe refuses to assist Riley when she introduces herself. He accepts when she uses blackmail to get the technology she requires. Joe begins to cry in the car because others around him are bullying him. As they sing Alanis Morissette, Riley gives him a motivational speech. After arriving at a warehouse, Joe and Riley go into a bunker that is filled with his equipments. She questions why Joe gathers so much things and discovers that he has far more material and weaponry than she thought. Joe acknowledges that it helps him feel more connected to his father and that he thinks technology may actually benefit people. Natalie alters Riley's look in her pictures at home. In an attempt to move herself to a new surface, she positions herself on the living room projector where Ronnie is painting. Ronnie understands that Natalie must have been developed by Riley when she reveals that she is an AI. The two talk about ways to becoming closer to Riley after Ronnie is shocked by how much the AI looks like Natalie. Riley knows she's running out of time, so she keeps working on her suit in Joe's bunker.
Wish would try that.
Natalie.
Okay.
Mine is solar and wind powered.
I must be dreaming.
Hey girl, how's the heist going? How to tap into it.
When she poses the hypothetical question of developing artificial intelligence using a real person's brain, Joe believes it will be effective but also kill the individual. However, for the AI to reflect the creator's ideals, the creator must be moral. She persuades Joe to turn over the power supply. Clown blasts a hole so Riley may enter the TWNL system covertly once everyone has moved into position. TWNL's control room is taken out by John and the Blood siblings. However, Natalie shows up on the screen and frightens Riley just before she gets to the prototype automobile. She loses communications after dropping the virus infected zip drive into a drain. Natalie comes up with a fresh scheme to take over the system. Parker is able to face Sheila when Riley and Slug initiate a standstill. After re-establishing touch, she finally gives in to his request to be included to TWNL's payroll. With a hologram of Natalie, Riley celebrates leaving the TWNL system. A security guard, however, notices them and threatens to shoot Riley if she doesn't drop to the ground. When Natalie freezes, Riley is unable to secure her helmet. When the guy threatens her once again, a bullet strikes the guard after bouncing off her armor from behind. They depart the scene after Parker identifies himself as the mystery gunman. The squad celebrates their accomplishment in the hideaway. Clown responds that Parker wrestled it off a demon when Riley challenges him about his hood. Parker applauds the team's accomplishments again. When Riley departs, Natalie returns with the suit. Her AI expresses regret for the security guard incident and admits that she simply froze. When she recalls what transpired before to her actual shooting, as Natalie appears to have many recollections of the real Natalie, Natalie is unable to provide her any specifics, though rather the AI expresses worries for Parker. She is unable to track down the energy behind his abilities. Riley acknowledges that she must keep Natalie with her since she is likewise concerned. After Xavier, played by Matthew Elam, texts Riley, they head to the Loft show. Following the act, Riley discusses the record and how it made her miss Natalie with Xavier. Xavier longs to speak with his sister once more. Parker hears noises coming from his hood in the hideaway. John notices that Parker's back is becoming worse as soon as he enters the room. Parker assures him it's just the cost of his abilities, but he refuses to lie for him. When Riley gets home, Ronnie discusses the Natalie AI with her daughter.
Oh yeah, you so grown.
So, Parker, you gotta meet this kid.
FBI gets a call. Illegal weapons everywhere.
Hey, you know, you ask.
Yes, you.
In the third episode of Ironheart, we endanger Girl. Following an expulsion from MIT, the episodes follow Riley Williams as she returns home to Chicago, Illinois, feeling hopeless about her lack of finances for her iron suit. When Parker Robbins, also known as the Hood, and his cousin John ask her to join their robbery team, things take a different turn. Joe McGillicuddy, who has some rare items she needs to enhance her costume, is another person she encounters in this episode. Parker Robbins' relative John discovered Riley's activities during the Hunter Mason trip. He used a portion of his cousin's magical robe to catch her red-handed. Before Riley could analyze the Parker, also known as the Hood, caught and learn more about his abilities, John attempted to quiet her. Riley felt that these dubious relatives were concealing something and she intended to uncover the truth. Thus, Riley retaliated against John in the carbon dioxide-filled greenhouse room that had been shut off. Riley herself made the deliberate choice to leave John and let him die, since she didn't want her secret to be revealed, but Natalie, the AI constructed from Riley's own memories, came to her aid as both began to suffocate and saved her life. Riley was aware that Parker would murder her outright if he learned about her small act. She had to make a tough choice in order to preserve her own life. Since the deaths of her closest friend Natalie and stepfather Gary, Riley has been unable to confide in her mother and find solace only in working on her suit or hanging out with Natalie's cousin Xavier. Lacking access to well equipped labs and having little money, Riley turns to the Hood and John for assistance. They invite her to join the gang and conduct high stakes heists. The protagonist is still suspicious of the boss, but Riley and her outfit play a significant role in the Hood's crew.
We used to do this together. Maybe you don't need my help no more.
Would you help?
So,
They be used to violate all kinds of concealed.
Be traced back to me. You can't use it.
This wheat flour. Obadiah. Horrible plane crash. That stain.
Nothing like it.
In the last moments of Ironheart's that episode, Parker Robbins is also shown lamenting the passing of John, his confidante and cousin. Out of all the crew, John knew Parker the best. He was even aware of his enigmatic hoard and Parker's increasing skills. Parker remembers that earlier his cousin had tried to talk him out of the hair alarm theft since it was too dangerous for them, but he ignored him. When Parker is made to see John's last moment by his enigmatic supervisor, his guilt grows. Parker witnesses a shadow of Riri in her Ironheart costume at the conclusion of the scene, proving that she was responsible for John's demise. This incident strengthened Parker and Riley's disagreement. After the unsuccessful attempt at the hair alarm, Riley begins to doubt everything that occurred during the attempt as she gets home. When Natalie notes that the biomesh she had borrowed from Joe is gone, Riley becomes anxious about the whole thing. First of all, when John learned of Riley's misgivings about Parker, her taking off his hood's piece and how it all ruined their haste, she had abandoned him to choke to death. Furthermore, if and when the biomesh she had inadvertently left behind was found, it might be linked to Joe because it was his property. Her actions endangered Joe's life in addition to causing John's death. Riley becomes upset by this and begins to worry about her predicament. Riley has emotional exhaustion. She considers her decisions, the breach of Parker's confidence, and her part in John's demise. This is a turning point in Riri's life as she begins to reflect on her choices and the danger of pursuing justice. In the beginning, Joe McGillicuddy is a shy tech hoarder who gives Riri pieces to improve her suit. As Riri gets closer to him, she finds a bag marked Obadiah S., a reference to Iron Man 2008 antagonist Obadiah Stane. Joe eventually discloses that he is actually Obadiah's son, Ezekiel Stane. Ezekiel wants to utilize technology for good, unlike his father. This revelation gives Joe's persona more nuance and explicitly links Ironheart to Iron Man's heritage. But when Riley abandons the item, his assistance in the haste, particularly the biomesh technology, puts him in danger. Before they carry out a hit, John and Parker Robbins discuss their strategy. Parker enters a mansion and breaks into a safe there. John shoots a security guard after he draws a pistol on him, after he reassures Parker that he is always at his side. Parker gives Riley his whole attention before telling everyone that he misses John's devotion. When everyone has left, Parker responds that he has plans for her when Riley asks if he needs anything.
Hood. Stressing over an act. Look. Hello.
Stain of Evanston. Stain faces a multitude of. Thank you, Judy. You know, there's a whole.
You know, you do kind of give
Traffic report and much more.
Here's a loss for words.
Because she is unable to locate the source of the energy, really fears that Parker will soon come after her. Natalie believes she is being overly suspicious, but Ronnie interrupts them and asks the girls if they are up to anything. They say no, but she doesn't seem to believe it. Riley is instructed by Natalie to call Shuri for assistance, but she chooses not to do so. Rather, she finds out that Joe has been arrested when she gets to his residence. As we watch Ezekiel, alias Joe, get processed by the police, he soon appears dissatisfied, and newscasters assert that Ezekiel is damaging the Stain family name. The team discusses Ezekiel's arrest and Parker's strange conduct in the hideaway. Parker watches the local news and sees Ezekiel. When Riley and Ezekiel reunite in prison, he chastises her for her self-centered action before departing. Clown Sonia Dennis informs Riley that Parker seeks to bring in another tech expert to the hideaway. Parker asks her whether she knows Stain when he summons her into the office. Parker is fine with Stain going to jail rather than them, but he questions why she did not notify him about contracting the technology. Riley becomes agitated after her encounter with Parker and installs a security system in her flat. To keep her safe, she gives her mother a watch. Natalie is instructed by Riley to remain at home while she visits Xavier. She asks him whether she is a decent person and gives him a watch so she can follow him. He consoles her, acknowledges that humans are complicated, and appreciates Riley for the timepiece. At home, Riley checks her cameras despite Natalie's advice to get some sleep. When Ronnie cries while watching The X-Files, the watch shields her in a bubble while she sleeps in the suit. Riley begs her mother for assistance with her magic powers when Ronnie asks if she is ready to discuss her anxieties. The mother and daughter attempt to find out what Riley is looking for when they visit Zelma and Madeline at their New Age business. They request to see the fragment of Hood's cloak after Zelma does a spell. The two wizards affirm that it is outside of their domain. They talk about Zelma's desire to continue her education at Kalmar Taj. However, Madeline ejects Riley from the store when Zelma and her conduct a leaf test. She informs Riley that Riley has discovered some bad magic. The cloak's designer, who is from a different realm, manipulates magic uses to accomplish their objectives. Ronnie is upset that Riley did not seek assistance and that she is involved in a risky situation. After leaving her mother on the street, Riley phones her suit. Parker pays Joel, alias Ezekiel, who thinks he is seeing things, a visit in the jail. In order to create something fresh, Parker asks Joe to work for him. Parker responds that he will come back later to see if Joe changes his mind when Joe declines. In the meantime, Riley takes a plane to Joe's hiding place to test the hood using his technology. Even their tiny bit cannot be destroyed, and Riley knows she cannot resolve this issue while Natalie keeps talking. While hovering in her suit, Riley experiences another panic episode and wants to let go. After dropping Riley off, Natalie travels to get Xavier. Even though he doesn't understand, Natalie returns Xavier to Riley where they embrace. However, Natalie comes out when Xavier inquires as to how Riley brought him there. Riley feels angry, but he hopes Xavier will be content. He requests that Riley remove Natalie and informs her that she had no right to use his sister as a test subject for technology. Natalie takes off when she believes Riley is thinking about it. After dropping the watch to the floor, Xavier turns to go. In another scene, we see Slark Darren Muriel assisting with the programming for a new piece of technology, and Clown texts Parker about Stain having a ton of fresh ideas. Following a brief buzz card, Stain is upgraded by the machines. Parker informs the crew that he wants really dead since she killed John.
Delete it.
Welcome.
Come on, kid. It's Zeke Stain.
To leave in the city.
The Hood instructs his dags to murder Riley as she attempts to discover the source of Parker Robbins' magical abilities. Regarding his plans for Riley, Ezekiel Stain feels torn. Natalie is frantically trying to get close to Riley. White Castle receives a significant set piece for product placement. Natalie views all social media footage of Riley and Natalie making social media films while perched atop a building. But Slag snatches her and stuffs the costume into a vehicle. Zelma provides Riley with further information about Dormammu, the monster she is facing at a White Castle. Riley doesn't understand why Dormammu would become involved with Packer, but Zelma explains what transpired with Kailicious. Riley is told by Zelma that she must stop Parker right away. The Blood siblings visit the White Castle and order every person to leave while they are speaking. The siblings begin punching each other when Riley urges Zelma to leave. Riley loses Xavier's watch during the altercation. The protective bubble captures the siblings inside and blocks the bullet when she orders them to shoot her. When the clown shows up at the window, she blows a hole in the glass while Riley tries to keep her out. Natalie uses her lasers to try to break out in the back of Slug's vehicle.
This is why I. Oh.
Until Riley launches a counter-attack, the clown fires bombs towards the back of the White Castle. Slug begins pursuing her in the truck when she flees the White Castle. But Natalie manages to break away and shields Riley, and the two of them smash the truck until it topples over them. After throwing up, Riley asks Natalie where she went. The AI acknowledges that when they first met, Xavier Remax wounded her. After Riley continues to phone her only numbers, hurting Natalie, she chooses to take some sleep. When Riley attempts to take off, Joe strikes her with an electrical bolt. He demonstrates to her his newfound electrical abilities, which are incorporated into every part of his body and eliminate the need for a suit. When they fight, he cuts off her new suit, but when she begs for her life, he grants her permission but only if she leaves Chicago. After climbing out of her suit, Riley retrieves the section of the suit that contains Natalie. The clown observes her as she flees. When Riley arrives home, Ronnie consoles her daughter despite her initial anger. She also informs Riley that if she wishes to live a complete life, she must abandon the iron suit. After Gary passed away, Riley explains to her that she made this to safeguard her friends and family. Ronnie advises her daughter that certain demons are impossible to overcome on your own. Natalie comes back and offers to assist. The three of them go to Gary's former store together. For real, this location is only associated with the death of her father and closest friend Natalie. Natalie plays a video clip from Riley's recollections of dancing in Gary's garage after he handed her a set of welding goggles. Gary referred to young Riley as Old Ironhead after she was struck in the head by a piece of metal when she fell into a workbench. Why did Natalie show her the video? Riley asked. She is reminded by the AI that she also forgets the joyful times as she forgets the sad ones. Thanking Natalie for being her glitch, Riri resolves to defend them. After Ronnie answers the door, she hands back the red barracuda that Riley and Gary worked on. They have the first components of a new outfit with it. Joe informs Parker that Riley is dead in the hideaway by placing her face mask on the table. There is no drama passion, or detail, therefore Parker does not believe him. Clown gives some, but he also helps hide Joe's falsehood that he killed Really. Parker gives Ezekiel a job in the elevator after telling him he will take him downstairs. Parker believes he will return, but Ezekiel says no. Clown wants Slag to be wrecked into some autopsy report upstairs. Well, Ronnie brings the equipment that Really wanted back to the garage. Really works there with Natalie. She can't create a sustainable power source and is frustrated with the way things are going. Frustrated, Really knows she must use magic to defend herself. Parker is at the team's headquarters trying to inspire his crew to complete one more task. However, Parker and his squad battle after Khan accuses him of killing Stu. Parker fires them when the squad dismantles them after he tries to strangle Slark. Zilma is brought inside the garage by Riley and Ronnie to assist in identifying the power source. Though it's not a given, Zilma believes she can take part of Dormammu's electricity. When Xavier arrives, they are interrupted and Riley and Xavier start talking about Natalie. Even while he still feels uncomfortable, he can see why she needs that assistance. They construct the new costume collectively. Joe is ready to flee from his suburban house. Joe pursues the neighbor back into the home when she challenges him, but his abilities are ineffective, and Joe learns that Parker controls his motions as he drives up. Parker coerces Joe into working with him, and Parker uses Joe to fend off the guards as they approach the mansion he plundered in his nightmares. Parker confronts Art after entering the residence. In order to get Art to turn over the shares of artworks in the mansion, he sets out his blackmail scheme once more. Parker responds that his father pushed him out of the house when he was 12, when Art wonders why he is acting in this way. Parker and Art did not get along when Parker's mother passed away, so Art gave him up. Parker insists that his father signed the documents while holding a pistol to his head. Parker kicks him out once his father finally gives in. The new suit, a stylish black and red one, is put on by Riley in Gary's garage. After making sure that Riley is prepared to sacrifice something in order to obtain the necessary magic, Zilma casts the spell, but the magic and AI in the suit prevents it from working, and Natalie seems to be destroyed before she can be moved to the laptop.
You.
It's Dormammu. You could be dealing with.
If Parker finds out you're still alive, he won't be safe.
Sign it in blood.
Riri?
Go! Go!
Parker goes back to the time when he and John broke into Art's home. They flee into the woods after eliminating one of Art's guards. A figure appears out of the darkness and offers to unlock a door when he appears to be surrounded. Parker goes through the door to escape detection and they end up at an Italian restaurant. Parker and the unknown man, Sacha Baron Cohen, eat as the unnamed man displays his strength. He leaves the cave for Parker after taking away all of his hopes. Parker eats an enormous amount of food at the table after his quest for power has finally been granted. Parker makes Ezekiel eat even if he doesn't want to. They quarrel about what transpired with Riley, and it is revealed that Joe's code prevents anybody from harming Parker when he tries to murder him with a fork. Riley doesn't have time to duplicate Natalie, but she can. She believes Natalie can use magic to return, but she must first eliminate Parker. After appreciating everyone for their assistance, Riley takes off. Joe is waiting for her as she enters Parker's pizza place after arriving. Riley plans a chip and overrides the control during the altercation, forcing him to work for Parker. Ezekiel claims that they are not finished battling despite having a common foe. Parker further hides the facial injury at the previous safe home by using a tattoo needle. He alternates between the unidentified man and his entourage.
To every letter of it. It just feels empty. Can't you give me more? With someone more appreciative.
I'm dead. So
Parker's partner responds impatiently and with an accent when he requests to see him. Parker's partner reminds him that he fulfilled all of his commitments when he crosses a line. However, if Parker is able to keep the cave after Riley's attack, he will increase the outfit's potency. Parker understands that he will have to be the one to take her out when Riley goes upstairs. He becomes invisible in an attempt to murder her since he believes she is merely here to take his power. The two battle in the ancient base after she utilizes the power in her costume to make him visible once again. Parker develops longer fingers and nails as a complete monster when he is completely overcome by the power. Although it ruins her armor, Riley fires a power blast from her suit to pull him off of her. With pistols in hand, Parker emerges from the shadows and shoots Riley. But the Riley who was pleading for her life was a hologram. With her outfit still on, she snatches him and tears the hood off. Taking the hood with her, she abandons him in the construction site. Riley notices the anonymous man seated at a table below. They sit in the pizza booth and he wants to chat to her. The two talk about the types of individuals he assists after he ejects Riley from the suit. Ambitious, Riley believes they can collaborate to create something special. He admits his real name is Memphiso, but Riley believes he is speaking to Dormammu. A minute later, Memphiso asks Riley Williams what she wants. He gives her a bargain after noticing that her thoughts are racing back to her time spent with Natalie. In startling flashback to the present, Riley informs Memphiso that she is unable to obtain her desired outcome. Memphiso warns Riley that the anguish never goes away while grinning. He extends his hand to cement the agreement after reaffirming that he wants her solely. A few months later, we watch the screen turn black while working in the garage. Riley tries to think of a strategy to get Natalie back. She then requests that her artificial intelligence do diagnostics. Natalie comforts Riley and instructs her not to sound like a Star Trek character. After being stunned, Riley gives her pal a hug. Although her arms begin to get some marks, she is overjoyed that Natalie has returned.